You've probably heard about voodoo magic or voodoo dolls when watching horror films. It is commonly referred to as black magic. Many people believe that voodoo dolls are some kind of evil art magic that involves injuring someone with poor intent, sacrificing animals, and casting spells. But we know very little about the reality of voodoo or voodoo dolls. Let us look back in time to understand more about the voodoo or voodoo doll. The term voodoo is a combination of two religions. It has roots in both Christianity and African mythology. It first appeared when Africans were forced to convert to Christianity while working as slaves on American islands. As a result, the term voodoo was created. Voodoo dolls are much more complicated than they look. For starters, a voodoo doll wasn't made to harm. Picking pins from a doll or puppet and then using them to transfer energies to the other creature was used to heal people's specific body parts. The voodoo doll is neither harmful nor evil, but the person who uses it can turn it evil and dark. According to voodoo practitioners, souls are neutral and have neither a good nor a negative side, but they might worsen depending on who uses them. However, voodoo priests admit that not all of them are powerful and will recommend modern medicine and a good doctor's treatment if the situation is beyond their control. To practice voodoo doll magic, the practitioner would require certain items, such as a doll made of materials that look like a human figure. To attach it to the doll, they'd need some part of the person on whom they'd perform the magic. Another common myth is that animal sacrifice occurs during the voodoo ceremony. People think that voodoo practitioners sacrifice animals to please spirits. Spirits like witnessing the animal's painful deaths and blood loss. It is essential to kill the animal after performing voodoo magic, which is completely insane. But in Islam, black magic is completely prohibited because it is the act of Satan and very harmful to humans. A Russian black magician said in an interview that his magic does not work on true practicing Muslims.
It's more difficult to influence a person if he keeps his thoughts in purity.
Yes, absolutely. When faced with various religions, it is very difficult to influence Muslims. They are in a constant connection with the egregore. They do namaz every day and read prayers on a daily basis. They are constantly under some kind of a dome, so it is very difficult to influence them. When you start impacting a person, he begins to address in a prayer. Indeed, many of them are very different from those who come to church only when everything is bad in their life. They come to pray and then for 5 years they forget about God, some canons, and so on. Muslims, as a rule, passionately believe and passionately give energy to their egregore, and this egregore protects them very well. That's why it is very difficult to work to make any kind of influence on a true Muslim believer.
Is this some kind of a good egregore?
Well, for them, yes. This egregore is good for adepts who contribute good energy to it.
How do you sense it? For instance, you have found an energy trace of such person. What's next? Do you try to drag him somehow to visualize this threat and you fail? Or how do you do that?
It disappears. I cannot get a grip on it. I focus on it, but something immediately knocks me out of the flow, just like that. Or I visualize a person in front of me clearly and can affect him even at a mental level, but some image is not created in my mind at all. I even look at a photo, reproduce an image, but it vanishes from my mind. Thus, I can clearly see that a person is covered with something.
Does this only work with Muslims?
It does for me.
What are your views on this? Tell us in comment section.